Меня зовут Женя, и значит вы вновь смотрите программу «Я эксперт». Сегодня мы снимаем выпуск про то, как готовить суши. Мы покажем очень простой вариант. И с нами мой хороший друг Павел. Павел болгарин, поэтому он не говорит по-русски, но он очень любит Россию и русскую культуру, и когда-то даже изучал русский язык. Не обижайтесь, пожалуйста, я буду с ним разговаривать по-английски. Павел, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day.
Awesome. So today you're going to be teaching us how to make some sushi.
Pleasure to teach you how to do some sushi, yes.
Awesome. Well, a little bit about yourself. How did you learn how to make sushi, and like how are you acquainted with Russian culture as well? How is it figured into your life?
Okay, I'll try and be brief, but see, my parents were from this part of the population in Bulgaria that we called Russophiles. Just everything about Russian culture was lovely. We had Russian programs, we had Russian books in Russian. Both of my parents were fluent in Russian, and they read it and write it and speak it. And we were all about Russians being the liberators, the whole bit. I studied Russian until 6th grade, but unfortunately didn't learn too much because in 6th grade I had a teacher that I sang a song to in Russian.
Which song?
What was the song? Пусть бегут неуклюже пешеходы по лужам и вода. That one, and I kind of,
Awesome.
I stood up in the middle of the class. Everybody was scared, and I was in choir back then, so my voice really sounded beautifully. And she was brought to tears, and she gave me a maximum mark, which was a 6, and never touched me until the end of the year. So I had great mark, but not so much knowledge in Russian, unfortunately, and it's just it's paling away. Now, in terms of sushi, when I was about 13 years old, I fell in love with Japanese culture. I saw Aikido. It's a beautiful martial art that looks almost like they're dancing and they throw each other. It's so elegant.
And do you do Aikido?
I've been doing it for 17 years now.
Wow. Did you start when you were 17
I
or
started
13?
when I was 13, yes.
Wow.
I even started going by myself. I didn't have anybody to go to, but I was so in love with it. I read James Clavell's Shogun, and what a beautiful culture. And ever since, the love is still there. I studied philosophy in the University of Sofia, so I had more taste of different philosophies, different religions, different cultures from Asia, and tried and did different sorts of cuisines, some Thai food, some Chinese food, and eventually sushi also came aboard. That's how I started. I learned a little bit of sushi making there, and then I arrived eventually here in Vancouver, where sushi is everywhere. It's big. It's people really know how to. Even little children would have, I hear, birthday parties, sushi birthday parties for 7 years old, 8 years old. The only place in the world. It's just the right
it's definitely
place.
grown over the years.
Yes. So, I mean, that is in brief. There is plenty of stories of magic to tell, and mastership, and the love for food. But I guess as we keep moving, they will come and become available themselves.
Right, I like your thinking. Let's get straight to business.
Okay.
So let's start with the ingredients. What are we
Excellent.
using today?
So we're gonna make a little simple sushi today, and with the acknowledgement that when you have a little party, you can always just take the seaweed. Every guest can make their own sushi, roll it, make it into a cone, make it into a roll. Or sometimes you can make it for everybody and have it like a finger food. All is beautiful. Today we're gonna use. I'm going to use a medium grain rice. Short grain rice is supposedly the best, but there's much to say about the mastership of rice. Asia is a culture of rice.
What kind of rice are we looking for sushi? Specifically,
the best supposedly is a short grain rice, short grain white rice. That's the classical way. But one can experiment. You can try, and if you have the love for foods, you will taste it. You will see. In this case, almost on purpose, I got the medium grain because I wanted to show that sushi can be made with other things. We can break the box of what it has to be and how it has to be.
Awesome.
Of course, we're gonna have a little bit of ginger here for the side. We're gonna have a little bit of wasabi. We're gonna use some sesame seeds. We're gonna use avocado. No sushi is good without avocado. It's just a beautiful thing to have. Some fresh green onions, some cucumber. We have a celery stick. We have some imitation crab, which I love. This used to be a delicacy when I was a student, so it's still a delicacy for me. We're gonna use a yam that we're only going to like sort of brush, maybe tiny little bit peel, but I'm still going to leave a little bit of the peel for the crunchiness and for the vitamins. The same I will do with the cucumbers. It's not going to be perfectly clear.
I see that you've already peeled the cucumber and you've left a part of the skin on. As far as I can see,
Yes.
Is there a reason for that?
Absolutely. So twofold reasons. One is the philosophical reasons. Sometimes you can do things to absolute perfection and you can clean everything up and have it. That's not my style. I like to leave things a little bit imperfect because this
a little
allows
bit more organic.
Yes, it allows for more organic. It takes off the pressure as well. Sometimes we'll make this perfect rolls and some people have that ability. I like to make things a little bit not so perfect. Also, the peel itself, it has this crunchiness to it, which adds up a little bit of something different. This is the way everybody finds their mastership, their love, and this is the way I do things for now.
I prefer cucumber with the peel myself.
Excellent.
As well.
Excellent.
Now, all of these ingredients.
We're gonna have a little bit of rice vinegar here as well. We're gonna use some soy sauce, of course, some nori seaweed that we will wrap the sushi around. And here, in some water, I put a small spoon, smaller than this, of sugar, and I already mixed it up. And I
It's
will.
for how much water? It's about a third of a glass.
Yes, and
I would say.
yes, about that. So this is about 200 milligrams this glass, and I'll put around a spoon of that, and then I'll taste it. A chef has to taste everything, so to adjust to see whether you want it a little bit more sweet for the rice dressing, or do you want it a little bit more sour, or is it perfect? I'm going to fill it with rice to the rim, and then I'm going to wash it very, very well. That's very important. The rice has to be washed sometimes
Here, put that
many,
away
many,
for you.
many times over until the water is no longer murky. And so we're going to wash it really well. I use my hand to stir it. See, in the beginning, the water will be very, very white.
Yeah, it's almost like milk.
It's almost like milk.
Very
exactly.
murky.
So we're gonna want it to be perfectly pure here, in the same way.
So this usually takes how many rinses about?
It could take anywhere like to maybe even 12 rinses or more.
12 rinses or more, wow. But this is very important. You have to keep doing
This is
it
essential,
until...
absolutely, until the water is clear. Pretty much any rice cooking culture would do that. The washing of the rice is very important to us.
So you mentioned earlier that you fell in love with Japanese philosophy and
Yes.
so that how would you? I mean, you've done a lot of Aikido, right?
Well,
And
I go to a dojo here in Vancouver, and there are people that have done it for 35, 40, 50 years. I should say I've done some.
okay.
17 years in comparison to those wonderful masters is not that much, but I've done some, yes. With making sushi rice, we use the same amount of water as the amount of rice. We want it to be a little bit dry because we're going to be putting dressing on it, and we want it to be sticky.
Okay, so it's not like regular rice.
Unlike regular rice, where we
proportion
could use
1 to
3 to
1.
1, or yes, 1 to 1. So
1
the
to
same
1.
amount of water.
Okay.
And what I do is, so this is the same amount of water, a little bit more, so it's to the rim as the rice was. And then I'm going to put a little bit more, maybe perhaps about this much. So that...
Just a little bit
Just
more.
a little bit more. As you see, just a a little bit more. The whole process happens with the lid on. Big Japanese masters will put heavy stones on it so it's pressed. We're gonna do it in our own way, and in the beginning we're going to put the stove too high until it starts boiling, and then as soon as it starts boiling we're gonna put it down to minimum, or just a little bit over minimum, but before medium.
Okay.
And then we'll let it simmer for 13 minutes. The whole thing is about the rice, so the rice has to be perfect, and then everything is possible. You can do anything with that.
So the rice is the most important part.
The most important part is the rice.
It's like in pizza, the dough is the most important part.
Exactly, yeah, just like in pizza.
Awesome.
So 13 minutes this will boil. The rice will boil for 13 minutes. We're going to leave it with the lid, and then we're going to let it rest for another 30 minutes. So all of it soaks inside all the liquid, and it becomes, we'll see, perfectly puffy and almost like just having some moisture, but in itself, as if it has a little bit of shine. It's a beautiful process. So we'll let it do its thing.
Okay.
While we're waiting for the rice to get ready, why don't we do a little bit of prep work?
Great. What
So-
do we start with?
Let's just show. I've already cut the avocado, but let's show for maybe there will be one or two people that don't know how to do the avocado. So on the seed first we cut it, and then we take the seed out. And this is how you do it.
It's easy.
Very. Take the seed out, and then we're going to cut it into these kind of form. We're going to take a spoon and we're going to empty it out like this. Very simple, very graceful, and that's it. And the avocado
Nice.
is ready. The cucumber that we've peeled partially. Our rolls are going to be this big, so this is quite perfect. We're gonna cut it from here, and we're gonna make it into long
Just long strips.
strips, indeed.
Okay. So, meanwhile, I guess I could peel the yam for you here.
Excellent.
the process up?
Just a little bit, yes, absolutely. And you can put it into a little pot and boil it, perhaps.
The whole thing? Or do you cut it up in strips?
Or we can. Yeah, you're right. There's a few ways with it we can do it, but it will be faster perhaps if we make it into strips. We'll cut it. Yes, we'll do that.
And we're leaving some peel on, so...
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful vitamins, good crunchiness, and
Approximately about this much peel?
most certainly that is perfect.
Like that. Okay, wonderful.
So we're gonna have a few of these. And the same things with the onions. I'm just going to cut these little hairs out, the roots. We'll use just a few, 2 or 3. Excellent. And this goes here as well with our preparation. Celery is also washed and cleaned. I took one little stalk. And the same way, thin strips. Celery is nice and flavorful, fresh. Excellent.
Very nice. So this is ready for cutting?
Excellent, let's do that. We'll cut it in half. It's easier. And then cut it into strips. also so nice. There's the sweetness, the nutrition. I am also now I have the title of a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. So the 5-element theory comes in here, where the yam is responsible for the spleen, for the digestive system, for the organizing principle of all energies that come in life, all foods, and it tells them where to go and what to nurture. Yam specifically is a qi tonic. Qi is the vital energy. And on all life organisms, or the so-called, perhaps, or I call it ATP, the energy that transforms from a cell to a cell.
Or maybe this is something that we should mention for our viewers, that you haven't told anyone this yet, but I know that you have a background in traditional Chinese medicine.
Yes.
And, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, that was a fascinating journey. I had come to Canada, immigrated to Canada, and had bought into the whole concept of business, making money, accounting, etc., etc. But one has to find their own love, their own passion, and by following it, everything else comes and follows in life. So eventually, as I put on a lot of weight and I was quite miserable, I decided this is not working out for me. I cannot be an accountant, and you know, not everybody's cut out to be an accountant. So I decided to come here to Vancouver and study traditional Chinese medicine. They had a school here, one in Victoria, one in Nelson. I went and I saw them all. Let's put this in water and boil it. Maybe we can use that bigger pot and have a little bit of water at the bottom, so we don't need much, just so it boils. Yams boil very fast and they get soft, so it's quite obvious when they're ready. That's plenty of water, just so it kind of covers them. That's it.
So you decided that, how did you decide that you're passionate about Chinese traditional medicine?
The journey started again at the same age, around 13 or 14 years of age. I was in a hospital with liver disease, and I had walked out of the hospital, and they had a little bookshop there, and I saw a book of the writer Grandmaster Mantak Chia. He was explaining internal meditations, moving energy. It was a Taoist practice that he had learned from a master in Taiwan or Thailand. It's been a while, I don't remember, but I was fascinated. It was my first introduction to Chinese culture, to Taoism, to what they call Nei Kung versus Qigong, just moving energy inside and working with stillness, working with meditation. So I started doing that very regularly, very vigorously. 2 hours every day for quite a few years. I had incredible experiences, and there was no doubt in my mind that Qi is there, that all of this is working, and this has been on my path ever since. But I forgot for a little while about that, and I put away my practices, and then it was just rejuvenation, this push. Well, all my life has been related to that. I already knew the meridians, and why not be an acupuncturist, and then why not be a herbalist too, and then why not be a doctor of Chinese medicine, you know, with the name Pavlov. It just sells itself. So I started the path. It was a 5 years program with 3 years prerequisites of science. Now I think they made it, and it's been a fascinating journey, sometimes very challenging, as a lot of information is to be learned. Many of the vocabulary, the herbs are only in Chinese, the way we study them.
That must be
so
tough.
But it's very, very rewarding. So like everything else, you know, the work really is worth it when you see the fruits.
But that's the reason why you came to Vancouver, and now you've done your 5 years.
Yes, done.
And now
just now.
You're a practitioner.
Now I'm a practitioner.
Very nice.
Yes.
It's great. Let's check the rice, see how that's doing.
Yes, absolutely. So it has been around that time. It's nice and shiny, and it has that moisture that we spoke of, but there is no extra moisture anywhere. This is a already sticky rice for sushi. We're gonna take a wooden or in this case regular spoon, and we're going to place it into a plate. It's nice and hot. And as you see, there's nothing burned. It's not, if there's anything burned, if somehow we've burned the rice, which can happen, then what we do, the whole rice will have a little bit of like burned aroma inevitably. But what we're gonna do, if there's some burn, in our case, we don't have anything burned on the bottom.
Perfect.
But if it happens, then what we do is we just scoop the top and we leave the bottom untouched, so we don't get any more flavor or any burned rice into it. So now, I love using my hands. That's what I will do.
Okay.
And so we're gonna dress the rice.
So you just spread it around?
Yes, just little droplets everywhere, and then we're going to turn it
And fan it at the same time?
and fan it at the same time. Yes.
All right.
if you-
Okay.
And for the seaweed itself, for the nori to stick, and we're gonna roll them like they're big cigars. So we're gonna take one, and we will look which one is the shiny part. And this is the shiny part.
Yes, it's very easy to tell. It has two sides,
Yes.
as you can see. This is the shiny side and this is the rough side. Very important moment.
So we're gonna place the rice on the rough part, and as you can see, there's already even like cut lines here made for us to make it easier. So when we're cutting it, so we're gonna have it like this, in this direction. These are going to be the ones that we're gonna be cutting it into, and we're gonna take a little bit of rice, and we will.
So no, you
All the reason.
haven't covered the entire piece of nori. You've left a little bit on the top.
Oh, indeed. Yes, I left some here empty, about this big, and I'll put some water here, and this will be the part that will glue to the rest of the body of the seaweed.
Makes sense.
Let's make one with all the ingredients actually, and make one. So we're going to put some crab imitation. We're going to put some avocado, and we are going to put, let's have a green onion, let's have a cucumber nice and crunchy. And then let's have a little bit of green onion, flavor, crunchiness, just like this. And one more on this side. The white side, the white part of the fresh onion is mostly used, but all of it is quite fine as well. And now we're going to roll it. Just do my hands.
All right. The most
very
exciting
simple.
part.
Yes. Let's see how so we're going to go over the ingredients at first, lightly, gently, and then we're going to close it. Squeeze a little. And then here, we're going to put a little bit of water. Now, it's been quite a few parties lately where everybody would be rolling their own sushi, so we'll see how much in shape I still am. But I think it's quite all right. And this is our sushi roll.
Nice.
The first winner, and we're going to cut it. It's nice to have a nice sharp knife for this.
I would say, actually, I've cut a few sushi rolls, and I can say that having a sharp knife is very, 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 very important. And when you're cutting the sushi, if you don't want it to fall apart, what I found in my personal experience, a lot of backwards and forwards movement, not a lot of downwards movement, because you're not trying to squish it, you're trying to slice through it. As you can see, Pavel is going, it's almost like he's sawing it.
Almost like sawing it, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So we made this nice even pieces. We didn't squeeze one.
Wonderful.
And we are going to.
It's very nice.
Maybe we can do a cone. Or try and do one with the rice outside.
Can I try to do one with the rice
Oh, that
outside?
would be lovely.
All right.
Please do.
I've done this once before.
Excellent.
But one thing that we should mention ahead of time, if you want to put the rice on the outside, what you want to do is you'll notice in a lot of sushi restaurants you go to, if you sit at the bar, you will see they have some mats, all the mats, they're covered in saran wrap. Итак, спасибо вам, дорогие зрители, что вы смотрели. Спасибо Павлу за то, что он нам показал, как приготовить суши. И на этом все. Меня зовут Женя. Это была программа «Я эксперт». Запомните, если вы эксперт, пишите нам на yanatvlive@gmail.com, и вы можете оказаться на нашем шоу. До новых встреч!